Hello everyone. Let me begin with a fascinating thought. Have you ever noticed that in the same family, some people can roll their tongues while others simply cannot? This simple act is more than a fun trick, it's a doorway into the world of genetics. In biology, we use two important terms here: genotype and phenotype. Genotype is like the hidden blueprint, the actual set of genes you carry. Phenotype is what we can actually see or observe, the traits that genes express. For example, you may have the genes for curly hair, that's your genotype. But the curls that you see in the mirror, that's your phenotype. Isn't it amazing how our bodies reveal what lies coded inside our cells? Let's explore this idea with our tongue-rolling example. If someone has the combination RR, both dominant genes, they can roll their tongue easily. Even if the genes are different, RR, one dominant and one recessive, the dominant gene still takes control and the person remains a roller. But if both genes are recessive, RR, the person simply cannot roll their tongue. This experiment shows us something incredible. Dominant genes mask the effect of recessive ones, and that's why not everyone in a family has the same abilities or features. So, what exactly is genotype? Think of it as the hidden recipe inside your DNA. It's the complete set of instructions inherited from your parents that decides what traits you could potentially have. Two people might look the same, for example, both being tongue rollers, but one could have the genotype RR and another could have RR. The difference is hidden inside their genetic code. And if someone is a non-roller, their genotype must be RR. So, genotype is like the blueprint of a building. You don't see it directly, but it determines the entire structure that eventually stands before you. Now let's look at phenotype, the part of genetics you can actually see. Phenotype is the physical, observable expression of genes. For example, the ability to roll your tongue, or the color of your eyes, or the shape of your hair, these are all phenotypes. Interestingly, two people with different genotypes, like RR and RR, can share the same phenotype, they're both rollers. And sometimes, phenotype is influenced not only by genes but also by the environment. Just think of identical twins raised in different conditions. They may have slight differences in appearance despite carrying the same genes. Now, here's a key point in genetics. When both genes in a pair are the same and dominant, like RR, we call it homozygous dominant. When the pair is different, one dominant, one recessive, like RR, that's heterozygous dominant. The dominant gene still controls the phenotype. Finally, when both genes are recessive, like RR, we call it homozygous recessive. This is the only time the recessive trait shows up. Think of it this way: homo means same, hetero means different, and zygous means pair. So, the names themselves tell the story of how genes are paired. Let's connect this to another classic case study from Mendel's pea plants. Tallness, represented by T, is dominant over dwarfness, represented by T. So if a plant has TT, it's tall. If it has TT, it's still tall because the dominant gene masks the recessive one. Only when the plant has TT does it become dwarf. This is exactly like tongue rolling in humans. Scientists use tools like Punnett squares to predict how genes will combine in the next generation, helping us understand how traits are passed down from parents to children. Let's quickly recap everything we've learned today. Genotype is the set of genes, the hidden instructions inside your DNA. Phenotype is the visible trait, what you can actually see and measure. We saw how traits like tongue rolling are determined by combinations of alleles RR, RR, or RR. We explored the difference between homozygous and heterozygous conditions and how dominant and recessive traits interact. In short, Genotype is the genetic blueprint, and phenotype is the beautiful, observable structure built from it. Isn't it incredible how something as small as a pair of genes can decide so many characteristics of living organisms? Biology truly reveals the wonder of life at every level. And remember, you yourself are walking proof of genotype and phenotype at work every single moment.